Welcome to What's Happening. In this regular roundup, Real Media and Phoenix Media Cooperative team up to provide unashamedly internationalist and subversive news, highlighting the work of people who are organising to forge a better world. We begin with some good news as 3 activists were found not guilty by a magistrate in Newcastle under Lyme this week. Back in January, they blockaded a factory in Staffordshire called UAV Engines Limited, which is a subsidiary of giant Israeli weapons company Elbit. In the early hours of the morning, they threw bottles of red paint and locked onto the gates of the factory, closing it down for the day. It was part of Palestine Action's campaign against Elbit Systems, which supplies the Israeli forces with drones used in the illegal occupation of Palestine.
Elbit Systems markets its weapons after having battle testing them on Palestinian civilians that are captive in Gaza.
Shut Elbit down!
These people have no voice, so we're here just ordinary people, just to be a voice for the people of Palestine who are living under tyranny and oppression.
At the trial, the witness representing Elbit hid behind a screen in the court, while the 3 defendants openly exposed the company's complicity in war crimes and explained why they had targeted UAV. In passing his verdict, Judge Waits said the protest had been carried out by serious, committed and knowledgeable people. He described Palestine and the arms trade as important issues and said that the Crown Prosecution Service had not proved that convicting the defendants would be proportionate to their right to protest. This is a huge victory to the campaign, which the police claim has carried out around £15 million worth of damage in actions against Elbit over the past 18 months alone.
Join Palestine Action and free Palestine.
You can watch our documentary using the link down here below at Real Media. Delivery workers from Just Eat UK subcontractor Stuart Delivery went on strike in Sheffield on December the 6th, picketing numerous McDonald's sites in the evening. The IWGB union has been key in seeking to hold the employer to account. The gig economy sector has grown enormously during the pandemic. In England and Wales, for example, the percentage of people working with gig economy platforms has nearly tripled since 2016. In recent days, campaign billboards from Fairwork have appeared outside gig economy employers' offices in London, highlighting public opinion in an effort to push for fairer deals for workers. The IWGB is also backing foster care workers in Glasgow for justice against the pay freeze. They say foster carers are professionals working 24 hours a day to provide care for children with complex support needs. In a situation where Glasgow foster care workers have seen pay and child allowances slashed, the union is demanding an end to this freeze. According to Freedom News, after inflation, the freeze equates to a 23.12% cut in the foster child allowance, leaving many foster carers struggling to subsidise cost of care themselves. In many cases, this is not possible as pay has also been frozen for 13 years, resulting in a 30% real pay cut. United Voices of the World is another groundbreaking grassroots union which fights for workers in industries where union activity has often been absent. In October, they won union recognition and direct employment for 300 outsourced cleaners at Great Ormond Street Children's Hospital. The hospital was pressured into the employment recognition, but the chief executive, Matthew Shaw, published PR announcements welcoming them in. The UVW union is now supporting 33 security guards who remain unfairly outsourced and therefore on much worse terms and conditions than other hospital staff. After a strike ballot with overwhelming support, they held a rally outside of the hospital yesterday, where some of the strikers spoke to us about their feelings.
Why, if we work in the same hospital, why we have different rights, why we have different contracts, why they have more benefits than us?
This Christmas, they're gonna get £200 each for working on Christmas Day. We're not gonna get that.
When we were working during the pandemic, we were escorting COVID patients, and then when the government gave 3% increment for everybody, all GOSH staff received 3%, except security.
We get the same pay when we do day shift and night shift. Even if we work at weekends, we get paid the same. The NHS, the cleaners, they feel a big difference as soon as they become in-house. Their pay rates high a lot when they do night shift, when they do weekends.
What have we done wrong? Who is making this decision?
The many supporting speakers included 2 NHS doctors from Unite the Union and Keep Our NHS Public.
I work in a big health centre and we have a fantastic security team. And there's one particular security guard I know really well. They're outsourced and I'm ashamed I've never asked him, does he get sick pay? Does he get holiday pay? He probably doesn't. But I just know how much we depend on him and his team. Knowing he's there, feeling safe, very much part of our NHS enterprise. So you should all be part of the NHS. Outsourcing is an abomination. It should be ended. Of course you need decent pay and conditions, and of course you need sick pay.
A friend of mine named Aisling recorded a special message to all of you explaining that when she was a patient at this hospital, she felt safe because of you, because of the security guards in this hospital. And expressing her solidarity with your cause and with your strike and with your campaign for fairness, equality and justice.
We're gonna fight! We're gonna win! What do we want? Justice!
Among those praising UVW and the strikers was political commentator Owen Jones.
You are showing other workers that it is possible to fight back, that you don't have to take it and grit your teeth, that you can unite and use your collective strength to demand rights you should take for granted in a country as wealthy as this.
One thing anybody knows and anybody will tell you about UVW is UVW just keeps winning.
And I'm telling you, they've always won, so this means that you're definitely going to win.
We're gonna fight! We're gonna keep fighting!
Yeah, I heard about them, so I know they are very effective. So that's why we joined. So I've been with them for the past 3 months.
I know they always stand for people like us.
We're gonna fight! We're gonna win! We're gonna fight! We're gonna win!
Back in September, Real Media reported on the harsh sentencing of Paralympic gold medalist James Brown, who was imprisoned for 12 months to serve a minimum of 6 for his part in Extinction Rebellion climate protests at London Airport, where he climbed on top of a plane and held it up for more than an hour. Filmmaker Fergal McEntee has released a short documentary about James Brown, which you can watch as a special guest post on Real Media here. You can find it using the link below. James Brown, who is almost completely blind, has already spent 3 months in Wandsworth Prison, even though his legal team from Hodge Jones and Allen launched an immediate appeal against his conviction and sentencing. The appeal is finally being heard today, but at the time of recording, we do not know the outcome. But supporters are waiting at the prison in hope that he may be released. Women in Haringey held a Reclaim These Streets rally at the weekend to highlight the hundreds of sexual offences and rapes in the borough in just the past year, and the more than 80 women killed by men in the UK since the murder of Sarah Everard.
Women united will never be defeated.
For too long, the onus has been on women to keep ourselves safe, rather than addressing the real issue of male violence against women.
We need to pull together to make misogyny a hate crime, because that is crucial to getting prosecutions, setting precedents in the law, so that we can have a stronger legal framework for women's rights.
Take back the night! Take back the night! Women unite! Women unite! What do we want? Safe streets! When do we want it? Now!
So in regards to reclaim the streets, I want us to take charge of the streets, because we've never had it from the beginning.
You can watch the full film report at our website, realmedia.press. In France, the controversial far-right and anti-immigration politician Eric Zemmour held a rally to launch his Reconquête party at the weekend. Footage appears to show anti-racist protesters from SOS Racisme being attacked by both police and Zemmour protesters. Zemmour's views on Islam and immigration offend many, and he has ended up in court on numerous occasions. But he has had a surprisingly fast rise in election polls in France since standing for president as an independent candidate, probably because he was already well known as an outspoken TV personality. Here in the UK, the Police, Crime, Sentencing and Courts Bill reached its third reading at the Lords this evening, and citizens from a wide range of movements called for protests outside of Parliament during the afternoon and early evening. We interviewed Kevin Blowe from the Network for Police Monitoring and asked him whether the law was a reaction to Extinction Rebellion and other high-profile civil resistance campaigns. This is what he had to say.
And it'd be wrong to characterise this as simply as a reaction to XR and Insulate Britain. This is a way of trying to shut down the ability of people to be able to engage in civil disobedience and direct action. All the provisions are aimed at that. When I hear people say, oh, this is going to stop protests. And it's just not true. Actually, the reality is that protests are likely to increase. What it's going to do is going to criminalise those people who use a particular set of tactics that are, in most cases, a way of trying to get a government that simply refuses to listen to the usual way of protest, what's seen as being acceptable ways of protests. So I don't think that things would have been different, but one of the crucial things is that the government's approach to rolling out this legislation has been to use those organisations as a way to say, this is why we need the law, this is why we need to bring in these powers. And it doesn't bode well for the future, because obviously there's nothing to stop the government from bringing in new powers. And it will be really interesting to see how this legislation is rolled out. I've been doing this work for 30 years. This isn't our first rodeo, you know what I mean? There have been numerous extensions of criminal justice law, every one of which has brought in a new way for the police to be able to shut down some aspect of the way that people articulate their demands. And I don't think this will be the last.
This was part of a longer interview which will be available soon at realmedia.press. Now that's all for this week's What's Happening. Remember, Real Media and Phoenix Media Cooperative have joined forces to bring you a weekly newsletter as well as this video to keep you up to date with inspiring actions from around the world. You can subscribe to the newsletter using the link below and check it out. Also, we'd love for you to tell us if there are any stories or issues you'd like to see us cover in the coming newsletters and shows. Now, thanks for watching. Remember to like, comment, share and subscribe, and join us again next week to hear the best of the best.